Perfect. Hi, everybody. We'll go right into it. So who am I? I am Hallie Cristobal. I'm from the University of Hawaii College of Tropical Agriculture and Human Resources at Manoa. So just a little bit of background. I service the island of Kauai, or the county of Kauai, that's based over the whole Hawaiian Islands. This is a picture of my home, and I just recently became the mother to a 1-year-old daughter, which is kind of ties into a little bit about what we're going to talk about. All right, so I'll be talking about our food introduction program. So what it is, it's an early childhood food introduction program we do through grades kindergarten through 3rd grade. We offer it to Title I and Native Hawaiian schools. It's 6 one-hour classes, usually either once a month or 6 weeks straight. And we usually try to introduce a new food product each class, and it is completely grant funded, so there's no charge to the schools. And then that's just a picture of our flyer that we passed out to the schools. All right, so a little bit of background on why we have this program. When I first started this job, before this job actually, I worked in a clinic in which, you see a lot of different children that come in. Some with food insecurity, some with just not great diets. So we started an informal needs assessment on my island, which we did a DOT needs assessment. I don't know if a lot of you are familiar with that. So I went to a bunch of festivals that were across the island, and I pretty much asked everybody, what do you think youth, adults, and older adults need? And one of the things that we found was kids have not a lot of knowledge about what they're eating, or they don't have access, or their families don't have access to the foods that they would like to be serving. So again, why did I create this program? I wanted to increase food knowledge across the lifespan. My job is youth and intergenerational programs. So I want to be able to increase those food knowledges all the way through. I wanted to decrease picky eaters in our children. Let me ask you guys a question. How many of you guys have a child, raise a child, so on and so forth? You guys can raise your hand. Or are responsible for a child. All right, there's a lot of us, right? How many of you guys have a child that may be a little bit of a picky eater? A few of us. I know that was one of my worries when I became a mom, was I don't want my kids to be a picky eater. I'm a picky eater, so I know the struggle. I also wanted to increase attitude towards food and increase attitudes towards gardening and cooking, which will, benefit their attitudes towards food in the long run. How to combat picky eaters. So one of the things we found, which I did a pilot of this program through a Native Hawaiian preschool, was that if we start food introduction early, they are less likely to be picky eaters. If you can increase your family meals at home, they tend to be less picky eaters. If you can encourage new foods without trying to force it down their throat, and involve them in the process, asking your child, what would you like to eat? And I know that's an issue with food security, but getting them involved in the process, teaching them how to cook with you, involving them in the garden if you have one, shopping, planning, so that they feel like they are more in the process with you and have decisions on what they're eating. So the curriculum that I used for this program, this Farm to Keiki program, actually helps with healthy cooking, farm to table cooking, how to garden local produce, and it also tries to keep the Hawaiian culture alive. So this book was actually a combination of one of our researchers at the University of Hawaii and this author, as well as we took some of the curriculum from our Junior Master Gardener Learn, Grow, Eat, and Go. I don't know if some of you guys are familiar with that, but it's pretty much just a hands-on learning on how to get kids, younger kids, in the garden. So some of the local commodities that we've incorporated in this program, or in this round of the program, included squash. So we did a pumpkin mac and cheese. We did coconuts. We did coconut curry. We used Okinawan sweet potatoes, in which we made a sweet potato salad. We did kalo or taro, in which we made poi pancakes with the kids. We used Asian greens, in which we made an Oriental chicken salad. And then that far one is breadfruit, or we call it ulu, and we made a chili with the kids. So this is just an example of what we needed for this program for one of the days. I decided to focus on taro because a lot of people are not really, sure what that is or how they're supposed to do it. We first would read a book. We had a plant demo, which I'll go into a little bit more. We had a coloring page, and then last but not least, we did the poi pancakes. So not just the curriculum was used, we had to incorporate some of our own planning or additional pages. For example, our first one is about the legend of taro in the Hawaiian culture, which is not implemented or talked about enough to keep the Hawaiian culture alive. The second page is our taste test sheets. So the whole thing about this program is we want the kids to be able to harvest or look at the plants. They get to cook something along with us. They taste test it, and then this second sheet actually goes home with the kids at the end of the day or at the end of the program. And their parents get to see if they liked it, they didn't like it, or they didn't try it. And it actually shows the recipe on the bottom. So if the kids did like it, the parents can do it at home as well. And then our last page is our coloring page. So this just takes our local produce and, gives them the Hawaiian language words and some of our regular language, and they get to color it. And so they take what is based in front of them, because we show them what the plant looks like, which we'll see in another page, and they will be able to copy it, and they have a sheet that they can learn from. So step by step, we have some pictures on the side. So our step one was to introduce a food. So for example, in that top picture, we introduced the taro plant. You can't really see it too much. We passed the food around, and we actually harvested that taro plant from their school garden. So they were actually able to be in that process of planting it. We harvested it, cleaned it up, and then we took the poi and we turned it into something. So we asked, for step 3, we asked the children, what do they see? What do they feel? What did they feel? The smell? What did they hear about the food? Did it make noise? Like if they knocked on it, was it rough? Just to kind of get them a personal feel of what's around them. The next step is we talked about the characteristics of the plant, when you can plant it, the parts of the plant, which that coloring sheet came in handy. The step 5 was to cook a dish with the food. So in that top picture, we were working on making poi pancakes. So I don't know if you guys are familiar, but the root of the taro is what you pound up to make poi, and then we turned that into a base for pancakes. The next step is we did that taste test, which is the sheet, and then we reviewed what we learned. So this bottom picture is an example of how we did the taste test sheet. So they could do a thumbs up if they liked it, thumbs down, or they would just keep their hands down if they didn't try it at all, which is completely fine. So in conclusion, some highlights from the program. We just started this program. So in 2019, I did the pilot at that Native Hawaiian preschool. Me and my coworker did this program last year. We've reached roughly about 5, and it was just me and my coworker. We reached 500 students in about 12 schools in the state, and we just did it between 2 counties. 99% of the participants tried the food. 72% of the participants liked the food. Their favorite foods, both places like the poi pancakes the best, and 79% of the participants self-reported that they like to try new foods now since starting the program. And a couple of the highlights that also came about from this, and these are new highlights. So we have officially signed up 92% of our families to a free local food produce boxes for a year. So what that looks like is they get free produce in a box once a week from all of our local farmers around the whole island and both counties. So they get that for a whole year. Those include some of the produce that was shown, as well as other produce that we have around the island. And we've also created a push with a local produce farm hui. Hui means group. And they will produce, or they will deliver fruits and veggies to snack bins at the schools that participated in the program. So they do that once a week, and then whatever is left over at the end of the week, the kids get to take home as well to their families. So we've kind of tried to make it easy for parents and families and kids to have access to this as much as possible. I think that's it.
When you just mentioned the giving away of the box of food for a year, do you guys keep in touch with how they use that produce?
Yeah, so what we actually do, which I didn't want to take up too much time of my presentation, we ask them actually monthly for recipe redos. So what they do is they can either take the recipe we created with their kids, they'll take pictures of it, and then they're in a monthly drawing for a gift certificate for some local stores that we have. And we also let them, we do like a yearly drawing as well. But we do keep in touch with a lot of the families. One of our success stories is I had one of the kids my first round, which absolutely did not want anything to do with me, did not want anything to do with the food, the program, anything, would sit in the corner. And the very first class, I made it very known that she was gonna be my best helper of the whole class. So I introduced her, got her up there helping me most of the class, and by the end of the whole series, her family had said that she's the main one now, picking up the boxes and starting to wanting to cook more, and she's trying all these good foods, and I think that that's what it's all about.
One more question. Oh.
Hi, I wanted to ask about your evaluation tool. Oh, sorry, Sabina Malik. I'm a faculty here at UNR Extension, and we're also working a lot with the garden education. But you had some great info on there on what you're asking the students about, and what kind of evaluation are you doing with them to find that information? Yeah,
so generally our evaluation is pretty simple, just because they're young kids. It's kindergarten to third grade. Their attention spans are very small as well. So this is our, I guess, class evaluation. When we do a pre-post or a pre and a post, we simply ask them, do you like to try new foods at the beginning? 90% of them is no. And then we do one at the end that says, now do you like to try new foods? And so it's really general, just because of the age grade. And then we just get a lot of input from families during like the monthly, you know, have they tried it? Are they trying new things? What have you made with the boxes, etc. But yeah, that's mostly it on that.